let's talk about 3x3. Steve, you made the transition in 2016 from 5-on-5 to 3x3 and have been Canada's top-ranked player for a good part of your career in 3x3. You've transitioned from playing to playing and coaching. Now I would say reversing that into coaching and playing in 3x3. You have a very unique set of circumstances in that you're the national team coach for the country of Mongolia. And, of course, Mongolia is never affiliated with the basketball world, but certainly is on the 3x3 basketball world's map. Talk about the year in Mongolia and the marvelous accomplishment of your women this past season.
It's been 4 years of great relationships and trying to build and push towards maybe not a clearly defined outcome, but an outcome of growth and improvement and driving basketball forward. Because you're right, Mongolia hasn't been a country that has been associated with any basketball powerhouses or long-standing basketball traditions. But they've taken the approach of there's no better time to start than now, of really trying to make an effort to bring 3x3 events to the country, bring 5-on-5 events to the country, bring foreign coaches, bring foreign players. After COVID, I was one of 2 foreigners that were in the country for basketball. The 5-on-5 national coach is from Greece, and he was coaching a 5-on-5 club in Mongolia before he became the 5-on-5 men's national team coach. And I wouldn't say it was because of us, but it did start to open doors of voices and personalities and know-how coming from other areas of the world into Mongolia, and how once you start that process, you can't undo it. It starts to change things. It's been really exciting to be a part of that change, of bringing ideas and lessons that you've learned from your upbringing as a basketball player, of the coaches that I've learned from and been fortunate enough to take a lot away from, and put that into practice in a country like Mongolia, where there's an eagerness and there's an anxious feeling of we want to get better, but we need to be pointed in a direction, and then we'll chase that together. This past season was a culmination of a lot of hard work, in particular on the women's side. Our girls have grown by leaps and bounds over the last 2 years. When I first got there, if you would have called us bad, I would have been happy. We were really bad, and it was we just couldn't win a game, and that started to shift a little bit. Part of that was us redefining what we wanted the program to look like, and breaking it down to the most basic levels of how do we want to close out on the perimeter when the ball gets passed. How do we want to come to a jump stop and make a pass? It was that kind of stuff where we had to whittle it down and really get back to the basics. Where we were fortunate is we had 2 personalities on our team that were completely invested in believing in that, and that's Aryan Senseg Aruka, and she's been probably the player that I think has improved the most in our country, in Mongolia. And then Hulan Anobatar, who's been the face of the women's team, and she was part of the all-tournament team at the World Cup that we hosted this past year in Mongolia. It goes to show when you have 2 players that are competitive and love the game and want to do these things, how it sets the tone for the other players to follow. So I've been fortunate as a coach on that side to have the good fortune of working with women like that will run through the wall if you tell them to run through the wall. That came out this year in our result in World Cup, where we entered the tournament. We were hosting in Mongolia. It was a big deal. There was obviously a lot of pressure on the players that this was playing at home. This is playing in front of our friends and family and the people we love, and a chance to showcase our hard work. That can be good. That can be bad, because it definitely weighted on their minds. But one of the messages that we wanted to keep consistent for them was we're not just hosting. We're competing, and we're going to show these countries the hard work that we've been putting in the gym, away from cameras, away from pats on the back, away from all the stuff that is done in certain circles of basketball where you're feeling that feedback immediately of we're getting better. We didn't know how much better we were getting. We were just in the gym working. And once the World Cup started, you could see the girls go, okay, we are ready for this. We are ready to compete, and we're ready to throw punches with the best countries in the world. We beat Brazil, who was recently a bronze medalist at the Americup. We beat Germany, who was the gold medalist at the Paris Olympics. We beat Ukraine, who was much bigger and stronger than we were. We gave a good game to Spain, who was the silver medalist at the Olympics in Paris. And then we moved on to our knockout rounds where we beat China, which was a big deal in Mongolia, obviously, given the relationship. We beat the United States, which doesn't really need to be expanded on any further, given what a heavyweight they are. And then we beat Poland in the semifinal in an extremely dramatic game.
And one of the great games that you'll ever see.
Yeah. To go to overtime, to have all these close finishes, near finishes, and then Aruka, who's worked endlessly on the shot that she hit of just getting to the screen, pushing away, getting your feet, knocking it down. And for her to have that moment in front of her fans, like, it still gives me goosebumps. And then we got to the final, and we played a terrific Netherlands team, and they beat us. Not much you could say about that, because the Netherlands, for my money, were the best women's team pound for pound this season in 3x3. But for us to go from 2 years ago winning one game on the women's series, and it was not a pretty game, to 2 years later being a silver medalist at the World Cup and to be taken seriously by every women's team on the tour is a testament to the women we have on the team, to their commitment to improvement and growth and their fire to pursue something. And then also to the leadership, I think, on the Mongolian side, with the people that I answer to and some of and we answer to, that have kept pushing and believing even when things were tough. So it's hard not to think about it and get fired up of what they accomplished. It's also hard not to look at it and think, like, did we actually do this? But being in the gym with them and seeing the stuff that was done from day to day and how the women believed in it, there was no greater feeling as someone who's been with them on the sidelines, seeing this actually play out in real time.
It is one of those feel good stories that just happens occasionally in sport, that you were instrumental in putting the ingredients together for the players to be able to accomplish what they accomplished. So, yeah, what a great step forward for that program, and kudos to you.
Thanks.
You recently played for Canada in the Americup down in León, Mexico. Fourth place finish for the men. Big disappointment. I realize you were bronze medalist last year. Second place, silver medal for the women. Overall, how was Canada's performance in the Americup?
I thought the women did very well. They were integrating two new players. They had Catherine Plouffe and Paige Crozon as the veterans. Two perfect personalities and players to be in a position to help integrate two new young players into 3x3. You can play 3-on-3, you can watch 3-on-3, but then you get in a real game and it's completely different. You're outside, you're on a different surface. It might be windy for those 20 minutes that you play. There's all these curveballs that get thrown at you. So to have Catherine and Paige be the steady hands for the program, playing in a tournament where half your team is new, was the right idea. They bumped up against a really strong American team. They gave them a good fight. There was a really questionable call at the end on Paige that played a role in the outcome, but I thought they put a great foot forward. It showed that there's good things in the works for the continued development of the women's program and integrating new skill sets and new personalities into the team. So obviously for them, now that the Olympic point gathering is starting,
it's a complete start over, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, as in other sports, whether it's soccer, whatever, you've got rankings and points and results, all of those things. But FIBA 3x3 for years and years, it's an accumulation and a carryover and all of the regulations. But this is like a fresh start for the 2028 LA Olympics, correct?
Correct. So what FIBA, and this was just announced 2 days ago officially, what FIBA has determined is it's going to be a 2-year window of point collection to determine rankings and possible automatic qualifications to Los Angeles Olympics in 2028. So that begins now. There's no tournaments now, but once the AmeriCup and the Africa Cup had ended, the official point gathering for LA starts. So it seems like LA is a long ways off. It's going to get here in a blink. These next 2 years are going to be extremely important for anyone that has ambition to be competing in LA. And it forces the hand of countries and players to be invested over these next 2 years. You're not going to be able to just show up the year before and play a ton, and you're going to have to give a year and a year. And then you have the Olympic year. So on paper, I like it. It's going to be good for the sport. It's going to make it competitive in the lead up to LA in a way that the sport hasn't seen that level of competition up to this point. I think when you look at it from the Canadian women's perspective, they're positioned extremely well. The Americans are already qualified to LA, men and women. So there's going to be one automatic slot for the Americas that goes directly to LA. And for my money, I don't know at this point who can challenge the Canadian women in the Americas. And that's great because it sets the pace of they're going to be the ones playing over the next 2 years to decide their fate. And if you're smart, they're the ones to bet on. On the men's side, for AmeriCup, to circle back to what we were talking about, we showed a lot of good things. We had good training in the lead up to the tournament. Had a wild game with Trinidad and Tobago. Those are always some of the hardest games to prepare for in 3x3, where you're playing against players that don't have a lot of experience in the sport. That can be good, that can be bad, because they're coming in and they're just playing, and they're just, kind of nothing to lose, just having fun. And that was a little bit of a game that you couldn't quite get a pulse on. Then we moved into playing Argentina. Easier because it's more physical. They have some experience. They're younger. They're hungry. And luckily we gave them a good whooping and sent them out and moved into the quarterfinals. Played Mexico. Almost a mirror situation from the year before. We played Mexico in the quarterfinals in Puerto Rico. This being different, playing in Mexico. It was a really hard-fought game. Referees seemed to nudge it a little bit towards the home team, if we're being honest.
A little bit of home cooking.
Yeah, a little bit. So that added to the intrigue a little bit, but luckily we were able to pull it out. We got to the Puerto Rico game, very similar to as it was the year before, neck and neck the whole game. We have a great look at the end. Jerome Derossier, one of our guys, had a good look at it too. It was in the bucket. And you live with that because he had a fantastic tournament. And you in 3x3, you always live with, you got a wide open shot, a good shooter shooting it. Sometimes it's going to go in, sometimes it's not. So I had no qualms with how that game ended. We were in a position where we were an inch from going to overtime. The Brazil bronze medal game was a tough one. To lose a medal game for when it's for your country it hurts in a different way. I felt like we just kind of ran out of gas. We needed to keep the pace of the game high because a slower pace favored Brazil and their type of player. So that was tough. But I think, when you've had a chance to reflect and evaluate what was happening, you have to try and frame it as, losses hurt. I've never subscribed to the idea of there aren't losses, there's just learning. And it's like, no, there are losses, and it really hurts when there's losses. So that's usually coming from people who haven't lost meaningful games. It really stung everybody, but you do have to frame it as it's adversity. And if you're going to cry about it, cool, no one's going to care. You're going to have to get back in the gym. You're going to have to get on with it, and you're going to have to keep believing that the next time you're in that game, you can get it done. And I think the debrief we had as a group, everybody believed that, as ticked off as they were. And I'm hopeful that soon we'll get a chance to get back out there and have a chance to play a game like that or that exact game again, because I'd like to believe the outcome will be different. But to play with Canada on your chest is the highest privilege and the most meaningful thing you can do. Your country on your chest and your name on your back is as good as it gets. I've said it a lot of times. It's the mountaintop. So to be able to do that, I remember being 15 and dreaming of that, and I still remember that. I'm 43 now, and it never stops being meaningful. So even though it hurts when you lose, you still have to walk away from it and think I dreamed of being in games like this, and the next time we play one, I'm going to remember how much it hurts and do better.
It was while it was a stinging end to the season, it was still a great effort on the part and a step forward for Canada on the men's side as well.